Okay, guys, so food shopping. So, when we go food shopping, a lot of us do this in a pretty poor way. We think about food shopping, we're like, yeah, we need to go shopping, need to go and get this, a few bits. And you're kind of like, well, I know I've run out of this and I need to get there, but you probably got to the shop before you've ever actually worked out what you do actually need. And then you're there, so then you're like, well, I probably need some snacky bits. And actually, I might not need to buy this because I'm not going to be around on these days. And then I might be cooking on these days and I need some things to take to lunch. And then you get home and then really realize that you don't actually have anything for dinner, or nothing for lunch. So then what happens, at the beginning, beginning of the week, you try and be healthy. And then all of a sudden you're tired. You're like, oh my God, I have no food in my cupboards. And that's when the takeaways start creeping in. That's when you start buying lunch, you're skipping breakfast. And again, all that kind of healthy food prep, whilst it's been great at the beginning of the week, slowly disappears. You take on more calories, and then all that good work you did at the beginning has slowly been negated. And again, that of course contributes to poor health and weight gain. So here's some really good food shopping tips. So when you go into shop, you know straight away that you're going to be hit by a wall of grab and go food. So the meal deals, whatnot, probably a Krispy Kreme stand, and also special offers. And the special offers are never like, oh, buy our 2-for-1 strawberries, buy this kale, look how great our kale is. No, it's always like, here, save 50p and buy like 24 bags of crisps or something ridiculous like that. Double up on all your chocolate bars. And it's just all junk food, really, that tends to be on offer, like as soon as you go in. So obviously, if we go straight to the bottom one, try avoid going shopping when you're hungry, honestly, because otherwise you will not even make it past those special offers. You're just going to be like, ooh, that's really great. Do you know what? I really fancy those. I haven't had those in a while. There's such a huge difference between what goes in your shopping, like shopping trolley, like when you're hungry and when you're not. Like when you're not hungry and you've eaten and you go shopping, you will make the most sensible, rational choices to the point that next time you have a craving, you're going to be beating yourself up for not buying snacks. But it's better that way around, trust me, than beating yourself up for eating the snacks. So when you're going around the shops, now I've been guilty of this. You weave up and down the aisles. And again, this is where like your little magpie eyes come in, because all of a sudden you're like, oh yes, I really like that. Oh yeah, I probably do need that. So then like all these additional things start creeping into your basket that you didn't even need. And then you're like, why have I even got this? And again, you just end up with random assortment of stuff. You're like, how did I spend like 100 quid on like next to nothing? And I still can't even make any dinner. So that's generally how it has. So by actually sticking to the edges, like obviously it's got the signs on top of the aisle so you can see what's down each aisle. So again, you can just, choose which aisles to go down. There is literally no reason why you need to go down the crisp and chocolate aisle unless you're avoiding someone who you don't want to see in a supermarket or something like that. Otherwise, there's actually no real reason why you need to go down that aisle. So that's it. Stick to the edges. Choose which aisle you want to go down. Also, really beneficial, have a little bit of paper somewhere or a pad on the fridge, something like that, where every time you run out of the staples, the things that you use regularly, maybe that's milk, maybe it's butter, maybe it's you really like baked beans, I don't know, whatever. Whenever you run out of the things that you have in on a regular basis, just make a note of it. And again, then you're not just going to shop and going, oh, I think I had that. Oh, actually, I think I've run out of that, especially things like herbs, which you don't use that often. Because then when it comes to you actually needing that, it's then going to put you off cooking, because then you have to go to the shop again because you never replaced it when it ran out. So try and always have these little lists of things to have in that you need, that kind of like ingredients for meals and whatnot. Also, like by now, you've done your breakfast, you've done your lunch, you've done your dinners, you know what kind of meals you tend to eat on a regular basis. So have a little think about what can you eat, what times a week. Again, like this shopping list doesn't have to take you more than a couple of minutes. Just go, oh, okay, yeah, could probably eat this night, fancy this, haven't made this in a while. You've got, you eat the same things for breakfast every week. You eat pretty much the same things for lunch. It's only really our dinners that rotate. So work out what you want to eat, and literally you pretty much know the gist of what you need for each of those meals. So some other tips, go and think about food labels and whatnot. So obviously we spoke about like food labels, and if it's got more than 5 ingredients, put it back. If you don't understand any of the ingredients on there, put it back, because it's just not healthy for you. Also, another real good tip of this is actually sugar. Like if sugar is in the top 3 ingredients, then put it back, because that's like one of the underpinning ingredients to the whole thing, and essentially you are just eating sugar. So yeah, if sugar's really high, then I probably won't buy it either, because it's just not great for you. So as nice as it may taste. So one of the other things as well, like buying frozen fruit and veg, frozen products, like and whatnot, and unbranded things, that can be really, really beneficial, because a lot of the fresh fruit and veg travels for days, can be sometimes like 2 weeks, 3 weeks old by the time it actually gets into your trolley, because of the amount of sheer air miles and food miles that it's done. Whereas actually a lot of the frozen food is packaged and frozen on that day, so it retains a lot of nutritional value. A lot of the time, the only reason why the fruit and veg is in still such good condition is because of the pesticides and whatnot used, or they're genetically modified. But every day that fruit has been picked, though that starts every day, it declines in its nutritional value. So by the time it gets to you, a lot of the time it has very low nutritional value. So frozen fruit and veg is excellent to have. Definitely don't turn your nose up at it at all. Also opting to buy like frozen instead of canned. Anything that you kind of fruit wise you buy canned, it's covered in juice or syrups, again very high sugar, so tend to avoid cans where possible. But yeah, and also unbranded. Oh my god, so everyone used to always like buy like Heinz baked beans. They were like the ones to go to because they're so good. And I'm telling you, when things taste good, they are either high in fat, high in salt, or high in sugar. So they're the three things. And so, but that's why people wanted the Heinz over the other brands, because they tasted so good. And so it wasn't until like everybody started to be a bit more health conscious that they're like, Heinz will all of a sudden then, oh look, I'll reduce salt and sugar. It's not reduced that much. So definitely opt for like supermarket own brands, or check out the back and see what brands are better for your health, because you can still have the things you want to eat, just try and guess the best option for you. So if you're someone that buys from like a butcher's or a deli counter or fish counter or something, so say you're going to go there and you're buying, I don't know, 500 grams of fish, worked out, split over 3 portions. You can have it's just you're buying 3 servings of fish, right? So a lot of the time they'll put that one in that bag, and the worst thing about putting everything in one bag is because then it's really difficult. You have to go home and separate yourself. So just ask them to do that, like get things like prepared individually, so it's easier for you just to grab and go. If it's going to cost you the same either way, what does it matter if they put it in 1 bag or 3 bags? It just makes it easier for you. So think about those kind of things, like grab and go situations, which makes it really easy for you. Okay, so here we are. So when it comes down to fruit and veg, make sure you're really kind of experimenting, and like look for seasonal veg. What fruit and veg is in season? Like obviously in the summer in the UK we get a lot of British strawberries, so they're going to be in their prime. They're going to be really nutritious. In the winter we have a lot of root vegetables. So again, think about the seasonality of your fruit and veg and experiment. Try things like get as much colourful fruit and veg in your diet as you possibly can. It's also super easy now because everything's pre-packaged, so it's the easiest thing in the world. So also a lot of people really like when they first starting to try and eat healthy, they resent the fact that they feel like they're spending more money. But just remember that's you spending money on the food that ultimately becomes your body. So if you buy cheap food, your health's going to be cheap, your body's going to be cheap, essentially. So think about that. But on the other hand, like obviously to encourage people to eat better, it is like things like nuts and whatnot, it is more beneficial to buy in bulk and then for you to then portion up them individually, and that will literally take you like 2 minutes to open a bag of nuts and put out like 5 portions of nuts. So to be honest, just do that, really. Buy in bulk where possible. So then when you come into the meat area, so remember you'll have like your chicken breasts and whatnot, and then you'll have like chicken breasts which are marinated, pre-marinated, or other meats pre-marinated. Again, like these are okay like every now and again, as a real kind of like easy thing to do, but this ties in nicely with the point below. Like start experimenting with your spices and herbs, and getting used to what you enjoy on certain foods. And, the marinade stuff, again, that's got lots of preservatives, high in sugar, high in salt. So they really are kind of a last resort kind of thing to buy, as tasty as they can be at times. Like, try and get used to finding out, what kind of marinades you like making. And a lot of the time they've only got like 3 ingredients or something. So it can be really, really easy for you to, just learn a couple of those and then just add that to the food that you enjoy eating. So going back to time savers, so now you can walk down a fruit and veg aisle and literally it is easy as hell. Like, so easy. They cannot make it any easier for people now. Like, you can buy all your food pre-washed, sliced, anything you like literally chuck it in a pan. It's been seasoned, everything. Like, fruit is chopped. Like, it could not be any easier to get fruit and veg into your diet. Like, seriously. And so you buy like a mixture of stuff that's like prepped. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but again, like, what's the difference if you're going to buy it, spend a little bit more on your food shopping because it's really easy for you to grab and go, or then you eating out all the time because you haven't got anything in. So think about it in that respect and just have a little look at how easy it is. Just buy the easiest food possible. So also, like, try and buy organic where possible. It's recommended. No, not everybody cares that much, but especially for women, like, a lot of the time, like, the pesticides and whatnot are a big disruptor for your hormones. So especially if you've got hormonal imbalances anyway, then it can be really important for you to try and opt for organic food where possible. But do just make sure you wash it, like, after using it, because obviously without the pesticides, it can have a lot more bacteria on it. So just make sure you're washing and scrubbing your fruit and veg. Also, food shopping tips, like, buy a lot of, like, again, this sort of financial element of it. When you've got a lot of your bulk foods, like your staple foods on offer, just buy a lot of it and froze it. And again, that's better for you time-wise and better for you cost-wise. Okay, so some tips around fruit and veg. So with this, really choose at least like something dark green and something orange, like, daily. Okay, because these are the ones that help, protect you against cancer, other diseases, are packed full of nutrients. These are the real kind of key things. Like, you can never eat too much green. Literally, eat as much green as you possibly can. Also get the orange ones in there. That's what I'm saying. Lots of different colourful fruit and veg. Just really kind of broaden those horizons. Get as much in as possible so you're hitting all the buttons. So here are some examples of dark green vegetables and some examples of orange ones. So do take advantage and really focus on those. Like, when we're talking about rules, have a look at these. Like, aim to get something green in your diet every day, aim to get something orange. So have a look at these, know which ones you like, make sure that is a staple part of your diet. There are literally foods that you eat every day to help protect you health-wise. Okay, here are some alternatives to orange fruit. So you've got things like apricots, mangoes, papaya, and these are all good choices instead of orange vegetables. So also coming back to the seasonality there, the ones with most amount of nutrients are obviously the ones that are coming to ripeness in their season. When you're eating lettuce and it's a Spanish winter, then it's not going to be the best quality lettuce, because that's not when it naturally grows. So buy the things that are interested in season just because they're going to be better for you. So, and as you probably know, fruit and veg that are in season, such as British strawberries, are much cheaper when they're in season too. Okay, so just to recap, fruit and veg are an excellent source of water, fibre, they're energy-rich carbohydrates, really super high in vitamins and minerals. They also have an alkalizing effect on the body, which helps prevent you become too acidic. And as you can see there, an acidic body promotes cell damage. It also disrupts a lot of the hormones in your system as well. So raw vegetables, again, so like when you're cooking, like some people make fruit and veg really soggy when they cook, and again you'll lose a lot of the nutrients in that. So try and eat fruit and veg like, just cook it, like lightly steam it, lightly boil it, like warm it to the point where food's warm but still quite crisp, and again you'll retain a lot of the enzymes and vitamins, nutrients all in there. Okay, so Also, when you do things like when you're steaming or boiling them, when you have like a lot of the liquid, so say, you know, like if you steam like green veg and the water goes steamed. So if you use, you can reuse that. So use it as a base for like soup, you know, put it in your gravy, something like that, where you need like liquid. So because again, a lot of the nutrients will be in there. Okay, so preparing and storing fresh produce. So this can be a real tricky one, especially if you're away a lot with work. A lot of us tend to avoid buying it because it's just gone off by the time we get back. So when you're preparing vegetables that, you know, to really enjoy them, you know, experiment with recipes that taste different. So, you know, things like the greens, like beets, greens, chard, chicory, collards, and kale, they're really, really, really good for you. Like so, so good. You know, also things like spinach, lettuce, you know, try and get these greens in them. A really good way of cooking is actually like buying a vegan cookbook or a vegetarian one, because they base their food around the veg. So whereas you find like a lot of traditional cookbooks, they base it around like the meat or, you know, the carbohydrates, and then it's almost like the vegetables an afterthought or something to kind of complement it. But if you base your meal around your vegetables and then complement it with like meat, if you eat meat, the carbohydrates, you know, it's a real surefire way to make sure that you get a lot of vegetables in your diet and you're as healthy as possible. Okay, so some other great ways to get fruit and veg in, like soup is excellent. Soup, smoothies, like these are all excellent ways to have in there. So yeah, peaches, mangoes, berries and smoothies with Greek yogurt, they're really good. Oh yeah, also adding like fruit salads, especially in summer. Oh my God, it's like a game changer. Like, you know, adding seeds as well. Like I used to hate salad because it would always be like cucumber, tomato and lettuce. And I was like, I hate lettuce. Whereas you can have these incredible salads. You can literally put whatever you want in salads. It's so good. Same as soups as well. Like I always found when I was like, oh, these veggies, I've got so much veggies to use, I'm never going to be able to use them before they all got off. Literally just chuck them all in a pan and make them into soup. It's like the easiest thing in the world. So, and again, also raw veggies, like how many people love hummus, like, and other dips as well. Yes, okay, a lot of the other dips aren't that great, but you know, exactly, eat those raw veggies, like dip your carrot sticks into hummus and whatnot, or your cucumber, you know, snack on cherry tomatoes, any of those kind of things. Like make your own dips, like you can make your own tzatziki, like using yogurt as well. So many good options. Okay, so now when it comes to like keeping fruit and veg, which is safe to eat, so try and use vegetables or fruit that are not damaged or particularly wilted, or you can like cut off the bits that aren't, but again it's kind of decaying, so you want to try and cut those bits off and use the bits that are still high in nutrients. Make sure you really do wash all fruit thoroughly, you know, especially if it's raw, especially if it's organic, just because you get animals, bacteria out in the fields and whatnot. It's been handled, so just make sure you wash them again, just protect your immune system, make sure you're healthy. So when it comes to cutting them, so use them on, you know, food hygiene lesson here, you know, use them on like surfaces that haven't been used for like raw meat and things like that. Try and have like 2 separate chopping boards, again, just to prevent cross contamination. As well as you think you clean things, there's always going to be bacteria. So also keeping vegetables and fresh fruit safe to eat. So some tips to prevent it spoilage. So, you know, some of these ones like leafy greens, broccoli and cauliflower, keep them in a refrigerator, you know, to prevent that kind of spoilage. Use them within a week. Frozen fruit veg can be kept up to around a year. Also, if you kind of line like Tupperware as well, like what you'll find is like things that go quite soggy, it will take a lot of the moisture out of it. So you could put like baking paper in there, and that will absorb a lot of it as well, so it doesn't tend to turn, because what you'll find is like leafy greens and stuff will turn really, really quickly. So yeah, if you can absorb some of that moisture, they stay fresh a little bit longer. So try and get used to enjoying your fruit and veg with as little fat, sugar or salt. You know, at the end of the day, a little bit of butter is fine and good for you. And if it means that you're trying to be more adventurous with the veg and get more in it, then by all means, put salt and butter on it and wean yourself off that way. Remember, it's all baby steps. So, you know, eat as long, that's the main thing. Get used to it and enjoy it, and then your taste buds will adapt and change, and then you can modify it more. So yeah, definitely when making soup, like avoid low sodium. Try and get organic or low sodium broths, because a lot of the stocks and soy sauces tend to be really high in salt. So you want to try and, again, reduce that as much as possible. So try, if you're having chips, again, make your own chips, like oven roast them. Try and skip like fried chips and whatnot, other deep fried vegetables, because you can make healthy alternatives, like you can grill them or bake them. So just avoid the fried ones for easy. So also, again, coming back to seasoning, experiment with the fruit, the herbs and spices and whatnot. Get used to doing that, because you'll find that some real simple seasoning can make a world of difference to your food. And there we are, guys. So I hope you've taken a lot of that on board. So just have a little bit of forethought when you're going shopping, like understand it, just have a little bit of prep, be mindful of how you're working your way around the supermarket. And, the main thing is, for me, when I go food shopping, because I buy a lot of the meat that I buy from an online butcher. So when I go food shopping, I literally pretty much only buy fruit and veg. Like there's hardly anything else I need to go to the shop for, other than things like if you need to buy loo roll or shower gel or something like that. But in terms of food, there's very, very, very little I buy outside of the fruit and veg aisle.